There's a lot of things being told out there that just aren't real, and there's a lot of things that aren't being told out there. So I want to go through the simple truth about real estate investing those gurus aren't telling you about. I'm going to tell you, okay? It's investing in commercial real estate, and it's more profitable than residential homes. Do you believe me? Yes. It's where you all want to go anyway. Why? Is bigger better? I think it is. Listen, it doesn't involve any more work than the single family does, right? Work smarter, not harder. By the way, I love that little picture. Isn't that the cutest little mouse? Oh, he's cute. I had to find a way to get that picture in here. He's so cute. Listen, does this sound familiar? I can't find good deals. Anybody out there experience that this weekend, having a hard time finding good deals? And if you did find one, what happened to it? Somebody beat you to it, right? If you do get one, for those of you who've done a few fix and flips or some wholesale deals, are the profits what you thought they were going to be when you're first starting out? I mean, they might have still been there, but maybe they weren't quite as big as you were hoping for, okay? And when you're finished, you're starting all over again, trying to find another good one. It's just, you keep starting over, right? And it's kind of like working a second job. Are you going to get ahead if you're staying on that hamster wheel? No. You want to get ahead, don't you? Yes. Good. That's what we're here for. The simple truths I'm going to expose for you today, multifamily investing is simple to learn. Not the same as easy when you're doing it, but simple to learn, okay? Multifamily takes the same effort as single family. Same effort. Multifamily has less competition. Anybody doubt me on that? No. Good. Multifamily is less risky than single family. Less risk. Okay? And multifamily attracts other people's money. OPM. If I go to you and say, I'd like to, work with you, maybe partner with me on this house that I got over here, you might have some interest. But if I said, I'd like to partner with you on this apartment complex I'm acquiring, is that going to perk some more ears? Yeah. Multifamily can pay you at the closing. When's the last time you closed on a purchase of some real estate and actually got a check? In multifamily and in commercial real estate, quite frequently, you can get paid at the closing. How do you like that? I thought you'd like that. And multifamily investments can produce huge profits, something I like to call the trifecta. Say that with me. The trifecta. All right. And multifamily real estate is where you should start. I did. I started with a multifamily property. I'll tell you about that here in a little bit. So, I'm Andrew Williams. You guys already know me. You met me this weekend. I started out on Friday. That's my ugly mug. But what you don't know is I'm also known as Professor Cashflow. All right? And I've created a passive cash flow formula system that I'm going to go over with you today and show you the results and some of the deals that I've done based on some of the systems and the formulas I've created over my 15, 20 years of doing this. Would you like me to share that with you? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, all right. Now, one of the key ingredients that makes multifamily and commercial real estate investing so successful is something I call the multiplier effect. Write that down. The multiplier effect. If you can make a little money on one house, we can make a lot of money on a lot of little houses. Does that make sense? It's a multiplier effect. So, this is something I'll show you. I'll get to the details on. But see the date? That's April of this year. And see the size of that check? That was just a wholesale transaction. Last month, wholesale transaction. Because of the multiplier effect, let me show you how that worked. Now, These are my partners in my business in Phoenix. They were kind enough. We wear lab coats just because we're silly. Makes us feel like we're scientists and professors. But really, I feel like I'm in a lab every day, experimenting with stuff, putting formulas together. Because once we find a niche and something that really works, we want to reduce it down to the simplest methodology and then duplicate it and replicate it over and over and over again. And we'll keep tweaking it just to make it as simple and as easy as possible. But simplicity is really what we're after. You're going to notice that if you go to any other commercial property or multifamily, they're talking about NOIs and GSIs and cap rates and all this other terminology, which I have purposefully kept out of my presentation. Because why confuse you? If I'm going to make it simple, why throw out a bunch of terminology you're not familiar with yet? I want you to see the real benefits and results from what I do so you can get excited about it, and then I'll teach you the terminology later. But why confuse you now? I just want you to be excited and truly see that this is achievable, and it's all about terminology. So let me just keep that simple for you. I'm not going to confuse you with a bunch of terms you're not familiar with and words you don't know. Is that okay? Can I talk to you in your language? Yes. Thank you very much. Now, as you know, and Zack has mentioned, I've done a lot of stuff. The sheer number of transactions I've been involved in has a lot to do with the thing you wrote down called the multiplier effect. When I buy a 100-unit complex, how many units did I just transact? 100. And when I borrowed money on those units, how many units did I just borrow money on? 100 of them. And when I sell that property, how many units did I just sell? There was 300 units right there in a buy, a finance, and a sell. They add up fast, and so do the dollars. Okay? Now, I've been fortunate enough in my career to host a daily radio show, to be featured on magazines, and in my daily radio show, which was all dedicated to real estate education, by the way, I got to... Oh, well, thank you very much. I do have a face for radio. Unlike this guy, anybody recognize Richard Kiel as Jaws from James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me? When the real estate market was so hot that guy was writing a book on real estate, we all should have known something was up, right? But he wrote a book, and I interviewed him on my radio show, and he autographed a picture for me, and I thought that was real nice. So I don't get to show it to many people, but I thought I'd share it with you, okay? All right. Now, from humble beginnings, and yes, that's me. And my mother, bless her heart, I'd carry this dang baritone home every day. It was about this big, and it was bigger than me, and I couldn't carry it home. And my music teacher would say, Andrew, why aren't you taking your instrument home to practice? I said, it's too big, Mr. Hansen. I can't get it home. He says, I'll give you a ride home. Every day after school, my music teacher would give me a ride home with that dang baritone in that case that I could barely lift. And I'd bring it home, and then my mother would say, Andrew, why aren't you practicing your instrument? I said, Mom, it's too heavy. So she'd take it out of the case and put it on my lap and help me play it. I'm like, man. And then one day my mom said, Andrew, why don't you play an instrument that's maybe a little sexier? This was my mother. I said, what do you mean, Mom? She goes, well, something like a saxophone or something that you can. And I was like, all right. Mr. Hansen, my mother says I should play the saxophone. He says, I got enough saxophone players. You're my only baritone player. You're playing a baritone. All right. So for 6 years, I lugged that dang thing around. I got a little bigger and I got a little stronger. Not much. And as soon as I got a driver's license, I ditched that thing. Got contact lenses and a haircut for my 16th birthday, and I thought I was something, I'll tell you. But I give credit to where I am today because of my mother and father. And my mom would run circles around my dad. My dad was smart, but I think he was dyslexic, and it might have had something to do with the fact that he was left-handed. Any lefties in here? Yeah. Go left-handed, you're in your right mind, right? So my dad was smart and big and ornery. He was raised in a small town in Missouri with a couple of uncles because his father was sick with tuberculosis and his uncles raised him. And they would do things like drive down the road and say, Otto, that kid's got your bike. It wasn't his bike, but they'd stop the car and my dad would get out and go beat that kid up for that bike. And then they'd laugh and say, that ain't your bike. So Dad grew up kind of ornery, but he got smart and was a hard-working man. Grew up on a farm. He'd start his day cutting tobacco before school and then go to school and then come home and put up hay, and you know how they do on a farm. And then he was in World War II. He was on Normandy Beach, I think D2 or D3, but made it. And the stories he could tell. Anyway, he was when my mom got out of nursing school in St. Louis, she met my dad, and he was in construction. They fell in love, moved around a little bit, and ended up in California. And I don't know if you know the San Francisco Bay Area, but there's, you've heard Zack talk about Richmond and a couple of areas around here, and then here's Walnut Creek and Concord. This is East Bay, and we grew up in a little town out here at the base of Mount Diablo called Clayton. And my dad ended up going to work for a car dealership. He loved cars and had a gift of gab and found an opportunity to sell cars for a Lincoln Mercury dealership there. And my mom traded in her nursing license for a real estate license. When my brother and I were going to school, she didn't want to be working nights and weekends and things. She wanted to be there for us. So a lot of people got their real estate license for a nice little part-time job, and they could be home when the kids got home. Well, that wasn't my mom. She was $1 million producer her third year in the business, and that's when homes were $32,000. That's when $1 million producer was selling some real estate. Feeling me? You do $1 million producer today, depending on the market you're in, might be one home a year. So not that big of a deal, but $1 million producer is an achievement. And that was my mom, who cooked every meal, cleaned every day, did all of the laundry, took care of my father, who was a grumpy old guy, but a hard-working guy, and she did everything. More about that later. But I watched them work together in many, many ways. My mom would see a house and thought it was a good deal. She'd say, Otto, I think we should buy this house. He'd say, all right. And they would buy it, put a renter in it, and every weekend it seems like I was in the back of that pickup truck going with my dad to help fix up a house for some reason. Always doing that. A little while later, they bought a house down the street from the one we were living in and started fixing that up. And to appease my brother and I, we each got our own bedroom this time. We used to have to share one. And we got to pick out the carpet and the paint within reason. I mean, you know what boys might pick, and my mom was like, no. So she helped us with that. But they decorated this house really nice, and then we sold the one we were in, moved 11 houses down, moved into that one. And a year later, they sold that one. I didn't know it. They had sold everything. And we moved to a town northern in California. My dad bought his dream. He bought a Ford dealership and owned his own Ford dealership, 1976. Mom traded in her real estate license for a broker's license and became her own broker. And in this little town, we had Williams Ford and Williams Real Estate, and they were at the top of their game. And then 1980 hit. And interest rates went to 18%, and gasoline hit $1 a gallon for the first time, and they were both in the wrong businesses, and it literally stopped almost overnight. So they had to close down their dreams, and they were a little disappointed. And my father had said he wished that he had kept every house he'd ever owned. And when you look back at where we lived, could you imagine? Because those houses there, I mean, a shack is $500,000, and I wished he'd have kept them too. But he didn't. But anyway, they said, Andrew, don't be like us. Go to college, get a job, so this doesn't happen to you. Well, I listened to them. You know, and like everything else I'm glad I did, I went to college, and I got a business degree in finance and went to work for a bank. I don't know if you guys know this, but bankers don't make a whole lot of money. Not as a teller and not as a customer service clerk. We don't make a lot. I didn't know that. I figured banks have all the money, right? I'm a millionaire, just somebody else has it, I gotta go get it. I'll go work for a bank, they got lots of money. They weren't giving it to me. But I put my nose down and I learned, and I was in a consumer finance division and I was underwriting loans for boats and RVs. Those are called big boys' toys, right? And you got to have discretionary income if you're going to get a loan for one of these things. The banks want people, because if you're in Minnesota and you own a boat and you're having troubles making your payments financially, and that boat's got 3 feet of snow on top of it, guess what probably isn't going to get paid that month? The boat. So the banks want to make sure that the people have discretionary income. This was before credit scores, but credit, jobs, income, and I had to look at their income and qualify them for the loan. And across my desk comes the purchase of a Prevost. Do you guys know what that is? No. That's that diesel pusher, that's that converted bus, the tour buses that the bands are in, but this was a motorhome for a couple to live in and travel the country in. And this thing had granite and parquet wood floors and televisions and flat screens before those things even existed. Started out in these expensive motorhomes. In 1983, this was a $400,000 vehicle. And they were borrowing money. Well, across my desk comes this application to get a loan to buy a Prevost, and I saw this thing called a Schedule E. Schedule E. Who knows what a Schedule E is? Schedule E. Anybody? If you don't, you're about to know. As a real estate investor and as a cash flow king, Schedule E is what it's all about. And I'll explain. Listen, right here. A, B, and C. There's 3 properties here. They drop down to here, A, B, and C. This is where the income that each property generates each year. This is where those expenses go. And then this is where the net income comes from. In this particular instance, there's a second page to this Schedule E, so there's 6 properties, and that's $159,600 a year in income for 6 properties. Okay? You like that number? Okay. The tax return that came across my desk for these people buying this $400,000 motorhome, they had 20 Schedule E pages. That's 60 properties. I approved that loan in about a half a second. They had so much income and it was passive. And it didn't matter where they were in that motorhome, they were enjoying life. They could go anywhere. The Keys to Vancouver to Canada down into Mexico. And the first of the month, all of those renters were paying rent to their property manager, by the way, and being deposited into their bank account. They could be anywhere in the world doing anything they wanted, and that income came in every single month. Do you think they ever got a phone call about a broken toilet or a leaky roof? Never. They had property management. Right? And that money just kept coming. The flame. My parents were the spark. This started a flame in me, and I was like, wow, I got to get me some Schedule E's. Right? So I set a goal. Any of you guys in here set a goal? You wrote some down on Friday. This was my goal. I want to buy 1 property a year for 20 years. I'm not going to be greedy. Just 1 a year for 20 years. And in 20 years, I'll have 20 properties and I'll have some rental income. I'll have some passive income. Sound like a good dream? I thought so. I was telling everybody I knew, this is what I'm going to do. And they all said, you're an idiot. You work at a bank. You don't make enough money. You can't buy a house. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I started to believe them. What the hell was wrong with me? But doesn't it happen? It does. It's hard to keep that positive for that long when everybody around you tells you you can't do it. So we got to believe in ourselves, right? You do. So it took me a while to get to that spot. So about 3 years later, I'm still working for the bank, but now I'm in the mortgage division. How many properties had I bought? None. They worked on me. My friends and family, I look back now and I said, they weren't good for much. However, now I'm doing mortgages. And a father and son team came in, Bob and Robert, and I called them the Bobs, and they were buying fourplexes. Their whole thing was fourplexes. Not duplexes, not apartment complexes, fourplexes. They had a model, they had a formula, they had a system. Their thing was fourplexes. That's fine. I did their loan. They had a bunch of Schedule E's. The approval was easy. They had 20% down. The income was there. The credit was good. Approved. Well, the third time they came in about 3 months, they came in every single month buying a new fourplex. They came to me. I had their file ready to go. They just had to update it with some new bank statements. That was the easiest loan I ever approved. But at this point I said, man, Schedule E's. What happened to me? I want Schedule E's. So I asked the Bobs if they would mentor me. And they said, we've heard that before. Because we're so good at it, we make it look easy. They weren't humble, but that's okay. They were businessmen and they knew what they were doing. So it's hard work. You think it's easy, it's not. You know, we decline your offer. We've mentored other people, it just doesn't work out. I said, what any man with an inferno burning inside would do, I got on my knees and I begged, please help me. And they said, I just don't think the commitment's there. Well, I'd been saving up some money to buy a house to live in, not an investment property, but a down payment on a home. And my wife didn't know it, but I offered it to the Bobs. Well, they took it. And I'm glad they did. And they mentored me. And my wife was not very happy with me. And I don't blame her. But she was also one of the people that was keeping me down from reaching my goal. But it's my fault for not including her with my dream. That was my fault. But the story gets better, don't worry. So, they had lots of Schedule E's. And what did I tell you they bought? Fourplexes come in all different shapes and sizes. But they have one thing in common. They have 4 doors. The Bobs said, we only buy fourplexes. They had their system and it worked for them, okay? That was good. But that inferno was burning inside and I said, guys, I want to do this. And they said, this is what you do, this is where you start. And the very next day, I started looking for properties. Let me explain a little bit why they liked fourplexes, okay? They're unique in the multifamily realm in the fact that they're multifamily, but they still qualify for conventional residential loans. Okay? There's no such thing as an owner-occupied loan on a commercial property or any property that's 5 units or bigger. I don't care if you live in one of the units, a bank isn't going to call that a residential loan or an owner-occupied loan. They're not. At that point, 5 units or more, it's a business. It's a business loan, but 4 units or less is residential. Residential financing is available, which means lower interest rates, which means low down payments. Listen, if you don't own a house right now or you're looking to move into something a little different or smaller or downsize, you literally, any of you, myself included, well, no, I own too many properties, never mind, not including me, could buy up to 4-unit property as your primary residence, live in one of the units, rent out the other 3. The income from the other 3 units is counted as your income, which helps you qualify for the loan. And an FHA loan is 3% down, and a VA loan, if you qualify, is 0 down. You now bought a fourplex to live in, and they don't care about any prior experience in this area. It's your home. And the other income usually is enough to offset any mortgage payment associated. You can live in a place for free. Live there for 6 to 12 months and move out. Rent that 4th unit, have income from all of it, and go rent again if you want or buy another house. But you just bought your first investment property with little to no money down at a low interest rate on a 30-year mortgage. And you get one opportunity to do that, and it's that first one as an owner-occupied, but no other fourplexes allow that. It's a unique opportunity, and for newer investors starting out or people who don't own anything yet, I point them right at that strategy. It's beautiful. Anybody like that? Yeah, a good way to get started in this business. But let me tell you a little bit about fourplexes. They're underwritten by residential residential mortgage loan officers who are very conservative. They look at your credit and your credit score. They look at your personal income as well. You have to borrow in your individual name. You're personally liable if anything happens. And you only can get 4 loans max. Once you have 4 loans in the residential mortgage realm, you're no longer a residential person. They now say you are a business. There's no way you're buying a 5th property, getting a mortgage on it, and it's your 5th home. They're like, that's no way. They treat you like a business. They tell you to go get a business loan, a commercial loan, something like that. So they limit you. It's good while you can get it. I say get it every time, but once you hit 4 of them, you just can't get another one. So that's the downside. However, asked some real estate agents to help me find some properties. They gave me a list, and fortunately for me, on that list was an 8-unit apartment complex. I thought, the price was about the same as some of the 4plexes I was looking at, but it was rough. I thought, that's okay. And since I'm now 4 years past my goal, I had some catching up to do. I needed to buy some properties, so I started to fudge a little bit and go, well, 8 units is kind of like 8 properties. It's 8 doors. I'll take it. I will use that to hedge my little goal and feel like I'm getting caught up, okay? So I went to the Bobs. I said, it's 8 units. What do you think? We looked at the numbers. They liked it. I said, will you partner with me? They said, we only buy 4plexes. I said, all right. But again, as my mentors, they pointed me in the right direction, told me where to go and how to look for some money for the deal, and a lender that I could go to that would help on this because it needed some work. So I did buy it. I closed on it, did a little renovation. I'll show you some more pictures a little later. Fixed it up a little bit. And I went to the Bobs. I go, it's time to pay off my hard money loan. Besides, hard money loan, the interest rate's a little high, the payment's a little higher. I wanted to pay it off, but now that it's renovated, it's all rented up, and the income is stabilized. Now I go get a regular loan on it. And this was a game changer. What the Bobs told me completely changed. This is where my parents, what they did, the education that I have, the experience that I have, my finance degree, this is where it all came together, and man, the light bulb went off. And just like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, he fell off the toilet and hit his head on the sink, and when he finally came to, he had the creation for the flux capacitor and could do time travel, right? I mean, my realization was that amazing. And I'll share you what that is a little later. But it completely changed everything. I thought 20 units in 20 years? No problem. I'll do 20 units this month with what they told me. And it was huge. So, fast forward to today, all right? 70 apartment complexes, over 7,000 units, over 20,000 real estate transactions. I've raised over $750 million, all from private investors. I've managed and renovated thousands of units. I've owned office buildings and a hotel. And the vast majority of all of that was with 0 of my own money. Who likes that? All right? My radio show, for years I did that. I've been a speaker at dozens of trade shows across the country. I've started over a dozen businesses. And I've had dozens of jobs, jobs, just like you. I know your struggle. There's rarely anyone that I talk to that I can't find some common ground with and know their struggle. I was there. It wasn't always easy. And I've done my best to simplify it. Real estate, okay, multifamily and commercial real estate is the key to huge success and profits. And I was working with my friend Hal from Texas one day, putting a couple of deals together. And he kept talking about this little apartment complex. And I go, how come you keep buying single family homes? All you're doing is talking about this little apartment complex. He goes, yeah, but I don't. I go, I do? What do you need to know? Let me help you. Let's do that. He was like, okay. So I helped him buy this complex. Next thing you know, he had it under contract. I said, what are you going to do with it? He goes, well, I got some fix and flips going on. I don't have time to deal with this right now. Because of the multiplier effect, he turned right around, wholesaled that puppy, marked him up. It's 24-unit complex. He marked him up $2,000 a door. I said, Hal, how would you like to take a property, put it under contract, raise the price $1,000, wholesale it and make 30? He was like, say that again? Take a property, put it under contract, mark it up $1,000, wholesale it, and make 30,000. He said, that's what I thought you said. How do you do that? Next thing I know, he's doing it, right? He took a 24-unit complex, marked it up $2,000 a door, wholesaled it to another investor, and that's his check. Almost 48 grand. I mean, there's some little closing costs, but boom, now he's got some money to finish his fix and flips. I go, you keep talking about multifamily and passive cash flow. Why'd you do that? I mean, I'd do that, wouldn't you? Yeah, that works. But that's the multiplier effect. When you start thinking about a per door analysis, marking something up as little as $1,000, $2,000, and then selling it off again or wholesaling it, look at what a multiplier effect does to your bank account. You like that? Yeah. You want me to show you how to do that? Yeah. You want some more examples of what that can do for you? Yeah. Let me show you. All right. So single family homes, as much work as you put in to finding a good deal on a single family home, the same amount of effort goes into finding a multifamily deal. All right? The same amount of work for bigger profits is the multiplier effect. Got it? Yeah. Awesome. Let's get into some lab notes. My wholesale formula. So I'm working with Keith and Donna. They're in a little suburb of Houston, Texas. They're looking at a little property. Donna was using my seller direct formula to find some off-market property owners who might be motivated in selling their properties. Little formula I put together for her. Anyway, they found this property in Houston. There it is. Doesn't look anything special, right? It's an old church they converted into a 5-unit. 5-unit multifamily, $129,000. There were 2 2-bed units and 3 1-bed units. It was making almost $2,000 a month in income, and that's a 13.6 cap rate. I'm simply going to tell you that a cap rate is nothing more than a ratio between the income it generates and the price you pay. That's simple. Let me make it even simpler. As investors, we like high cap rates. Anything over 10% is good news as a buyer. When we're a seller, we like low cap rates because it's an inverse ratio. It means the price is higher. And when you're a seller, don't you like to sell at a high price? Yeah, so we like a low cap rate. As a buyer, we like a low price, so we like a high cap rate. Done. I'm done with cap rates. That's it. Just understand above 10 is really good. Anything around 10, very acceptable. Right now in today's market, most multifamilies trading in about a 5 or 6 cap. Historically low, great for sellers, not so good for buyers. Anyway, a 13.6 is good. Sound good so far? Yes. Why? Because I told you the cap rate should be above 10%, right? Yeah, that's good. All right. So during the due diligence, we found that the property is in a floodplain. Not a huge deal, but it was. The insurance company didn't really want to cover the property. They would, but they're going to charge a premium. And the banks were a little concerned because it's a conversion. It was a church, now it's converted, it's a multifamily. Not a big deal, but banks can get all twisted up sometimes about stuff. They just do. Not a big deal. We're investors. We know how to get around that, okay? Not a big deal. But what do you do now? If the deal doesn't really pan out, what do? Just walk away, right? If it doesn't work out for us, what do? What's the job of a mentor? Make you as much money as we can, keep you as safe as possible. I'm looking at this deal. If we need to walk away, we walk away. I'm going to keep you safe, right? Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yep. He's exactly right. This is a 5-unit property, so it's no longer a 4-plex or under. It doesn't qualify for residential conventional financing. We would need to go to an M&I bank, a regional bank, a local bank, a savings and loan, something like that to get a loan on this. They still lend on real estate. They just look at it a little different. And I'll give you an opportunity to know a little bit about that. But in a deal like this, if it's not quite panning out, we can just cancel it. We'll just walk away, keep you safe, right? However, I said, Donna, let's not cancel this. The due diligence also discovered 4-plexes were selling for $150. This is a 5-plex you have under contract for $129. I said, let's put it out there to the investor community. Let's see if we can make some money on it. Let's just wholesale it. Okay? So, we wholesale the property. We put it out at $150,000. Basically, a 4-plex investor is getting a 5-plex. So they're paying a 4-plex price and getting 1 unit for free. That's the equivalent of another $7,000 or $8,000 a year of income for free. Investors were lined up to buy this property. And Keith and Donna made $21,000 net in a wholesale deal super fast on a deal they were ready to walk away from. Wow. You like that? Yeah. Multiplier effect, right? So the investor bought it, paid $150,000. That's what they got. The income doesn't change. But when you take the same income against that price, it just dropped the cap rate a little bit. Still above 10. It was a good deal for the investor and a good deal for Keith and Donna, right? Who wants to learn how to do that? Is that simple? Yeah. All right. Say, teach me, Professor Cashflow. Teach me, Professor Cashflow. I like the sound of that. All right, I will. Let's look at my instant equity formula. I go back to this property. This was my little castle. This was my first investment, my 8-plex. I got some pictures of it, so it's easy to show. But let me tell you about instant equity. When I bought this property, it had 4 vacant units. The other 4 that were rented were below market rents. In my due diligence, if all 8 units were rented and they were rented at market price, this thing was worth at least $300,000 to $350,000. All I had to do was buy it and get the units rented. And it was worth more. That's all I had to do. So I worked with the Bobs. I got the financing. I also got a hard money loan with some rehab money that came with it. And I took those 4 vacant units, renovated those, rented those, took the other 4 units when the people finally moved out, renovated those, and in about 10 months I had the property rented up, stabilized. Let me show you some pictures. Oh, this is fun. So here's my little property wedged between a boatyard and a vacant lot, which was overflow parking for the Elks Club that was across the street. There was a Taco Bell here, which is, since this is a recent picture, is now, they built a new one over here, and that is Filiberto's. But when it was a Taco Bell, and anytime I had a vacancy, I hung a for sale or for rent sign right out the back of this, because this is an alley. A little for rent sign right there, and see the drive-through? I'd get a call from an unknown number, 7, 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, hello? And they go, yeah, I see your for rent sign. I didn't even have to ask what for rent sign they were talking about, because in the background I'd hear, welcome to Taco Bell, can I take your order, please? I knew where they were coming from. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got a studio. It's $500 a month, $550 a month, whatever it was. Was my demographic for studios at $500 a month the perfect demographic for the person who eats at Taco Bell every day? Yeah. I never had anything vacant for more than a week or 2. And how cheap was it to go make a sign and then just hang it? So I left it up and created a waiting list. I mean, usually if somebody needs a place to live, they're not waiting too long. But either way, I could call them back and find out if they still needed it. So I fixed it up. I had my pretty little reddish orange doors, simple little units inside. If somebody trashed this unit, it literally would cost me $1,500 to have it all fixed up, new carpet and appliances and cabinets, have it all fixed up again and re-rented, $1,500. It just didn't cost me much to keep it going. Thank goodness, right? So, when it was all said and done, and this was when the light bulb went off, the bank appraised the property at $475,000. They lent me enough money. The Bobs had said, refinance the property, ask the bank for as much cash as you can get. At the time, it was 75% of the appraised value. They gave me enough cash, and I didn't tell you this. I not only paid off my hard money lender, I paid off my partner, which is where the down payment came from to do this deal. In 10 months' time, their down payment and what I paid them back earned them an 80% annual return on the money they lent when you annualize it. So I only borrowed the money from them for 10 months, paid them back what they lent me, which was 50 grand plus another 35 on top of it. Were they happy? And I put 35 grand in my pocket. I had zero basis in this deal. I owned the property 100%. The Bob said, see what I mean? Do it again. The hard money lender said, thank you very much. Let's do that again. My partner said, thank you very much. Let's do it again. And my wife said, I forgive you, honey. Go do it again. Right? I told you it had a happy end and it'd come back around. So instant equity is a huge opportunity. It's very hard to get that in single family. Not that there's anything wrong with single family. I just prefer multifamily. There's a few more opportunities for me. And I think there is for you too. Now, how about a passive cash flow formula? That's really what this is all about, right? Passive cash flow formula is the strategy that's going to allow you to really live the lifestyle that you all want to live. We all dream about it. And it's about who you spend your time with and what you're doing when you're spending your time doing whatever it is you want to do. And sometimes that's nothing at all. To get out of bed, to go out in the living room, put my feet up and watch whatever I want on television because I really don't have anything I have to do is really awesome. I suggest everybody try that once in a while. I'm usually too busy. I love what I do so much that just doesn't exist. I wouldn't say I'm greedy, but I really love this, so I'm just out always looking for deals. It's really what I do. I love it. They're just, I'll be doing this till I'm 6 feet under. Because as long as I can speak and my mental capacity is always here, I love this. I love the exercise and the joy that it brings. And I'll share with you towards the end my biggest joy of all. But anyway, happy Mother's Day. Who loves this? Cucumbers on the eyes? That's the best. I don't know what it is about that cucumber, but right? Who's had that? Isn't that good? Come on, any of my guys out here have some cucumbers on the? Oh yeah. Man, that is good stuff. There is nothing worse than being on the golf course, having your best game ever, and the phone rings, and it's somebody with a stopped up toilet. It just ruins not only your day, but your game is gone, right? Just ruins your concentration. I've had to leave the course sometimes just to go deal with a problem, and it's no fun, all right? And how about just being on the beach looking at your yacht that you happen to name passive cash flow, right? So Einstein, love him, right, said everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Well, there he goes and had to confuse that dang saying. It was perfect up to that point. What does he mean, but not simpler? I don't know. Doesn't matter. He tried. I just don't think he was capable of really getting anything super simple, but he wasn't known as a speaker. So let me tell you about Susan. She came to me. This is one of those stories. I'm going to have to slow down because it's a good one. Susan was a truck driver with her husband, and that relationship, you know how hard it is to be in a relationship with somebody, sharing a house, sharing a kitchen, those tight quarters, sharing a bathroom, being in a car together. They were in this truck almost 24/7. And he wasn't a very nice guy. Yeah, he wasn't a nice guy. And in one of his rants, when he was yelling and screaming at her and they were stuck in traffic, she literally grabbed her purse, got out of the truck, and started walking. She's never spoken with him again. Exactly. But had she had enough? Oh, she had more than enough. I mean, she had it up to here. I don't know about the communication skills, but when it gets that bad that when you're done, you're just done. I don't know. But did she have a life-changing moment? And she had something she needed to do. So she went to the trucking company and said, I'm not partners anymore. I'm on my own. I want a truck and a route. And she was driving coast to coast in her own rig for 12 years. And she met me and she says, Andrew, I have seen from coast to coast. I've been in lots of cities as I drive by. My assets is tired. And I want to see this country on my time the way I want to see it. And driving a truck isn't going to get me there. I said, I know, Susan. I know it isn't. We need some passive cash flow. We need to get you a Prevost. You can drive that thing anywhere you want, stay as long as you like. And she says, that's what I want. I love this story, all right? Susan found a couple of apartment complexes in Tucson using a strategy to go direct with sellers. And this particular owner had 2 properties not too far from each other, both in Tucson, and wanted to sell them, and had a couple of other properties in some other states, but was selling all of them fairly simultaneously to go in partners with some people to buy a 200-unit complex. So just happened the timing was right, was selling them. So off-market deal. Hardy Drive there was 20 units. Not a big property, right? By the way, have I said anything about 100 units? Have I said commercial was big or huge or expensive? It's 5 units or more. 5 units or more, but that 5th unit is a game changer for everybody else in real estate investing. They just don't go there. Competition is nowhere near what it is for single family, okay? So Hardy Drive is 20 units. Costas Drive is 17 units. That's 37 total. Susan says, I got them under contract for $35,000 a door. The market in Tucson is $45,000 to $50,000 a door. It's 3 miles from University of Arizona. Little too far to really be walking distance or really what's considered like a campus, premium campus type property, but still pretty close. She wanted to wholesale them at $38,000 a door. That's multiplier effect, 37 units plus $3,000 per door. It's about $111,000. Okay, she was going to do a quick wholesale deal, make about $100,000. She was so excited. And I said, Susan, you told me your goal was to travel the country on your time. She goes, but $100,000, I can do a lot with that. And I said, yes, you can, but I can do more. This is why you hired me. She says, what are we going to do? I said, $100,000 is nice, but let's do this, okay? I love deals like this. I have a feeling you will too, okay? We're going to, instead of a quick wholesale deal and make $100,000, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sell Hardy Drive. We're going to keep Costas Drive, all right? How do you do that? Well, we're going to take Hardy. We're going to take a little extra time and market it just right, and we're going to sell it at $40,000 a door. What's the market on this property? 45 to 50. So we should be able to sell it for 40 pretty quick, right? Yeah. We're going to sell it for 40. How many units? 20 units at $5,000 a door. There's $100,000 just selling one of them. We're going to use that $100,000 to buy Costas. 17 units at $35,000 a door. This property is 100% occupied. So the day she buys it, the cash flow's coming in. Okay? And the rents are below market rents, so we can bump the rents a little bit to help make the cash flow even a little better. So the sales price is $595. We're going to get a hard money loan on this. So she only has to put 10% down. Where's that money coming from? From the sale of Hardy Drive. Is it coming out of her pocket? Well, kind of, but she just got it from the sale of another property that cost her how much? Nothing. So are you liking this? You like where this is going? Oh, it gets better. Okay? Her down payment's $59,500. She still has $40,000 left over from the sale of Hardy. She's got reserves. She feeling pretty good about this? All right, now, we're gonna move the rents from, at 445, we're getting about $90,000 a year in annual gross income. That's before expenses, but $90,000 a year, okay? Expenses are about 39%. And that's things like insurance, property taxes, utilities, some maintenance, property management, because she's not going to manage these, is she? Nor should she. And even if she said, I want to, I'd say, you're going to be traveling the country, right? Sometimes it takes a coach to keep you focused on your goals. They're your goals, but let me help remind you what you said you wanted to do, okay? 39% expenses, not bad. $55,000 a year of NOI, which is net operating income, which is the same as my actual income. Okay, right? But there's a loan, so we got some payments we need to make to the mortgage company. What's left over is our cash flow. But the cap rate on this is about 9.31. It's just under 10%, but not bad. Follow me. Here's why we're keeping Costa Strive, okay? We buy it with the proceeds from Hardy. The credits from the seller, remember I said you can get paid at closing when you buy multifamily? Yeah. We closed on the 5th of the month. What happens on the 1st of every month? All the tenants pay rent. But she bought it on the 5th, so was the seller entitled to a full month rent? No, so the seller had to take those rents and give them to her at the closing. Also had to give her all the security deposits. At $500 a door times 17 units. Anyway, the seller credits totaled $17,800 she got at the closing. Okay? So now her total cash reserves went from a little over $40,000 plus $17,800. She has $58,000 in the bank account. Okay? Over the next 6 months, we raised the rents to $495 and refinanced to a market loan. We had a 90% hard money loan on there. 6 months later, it's paid off. GSI is gross scheduled income. Real simple. I should have just put the word annual income or income there. You know, forget any crazy acronym. Don't worry about it. The income per year is $100,000. The net operating income after 39% expenses, $60,000. The cap rate's 9%. Cap rate's going down. Well, we own it now. When you own it, you want a low cap rate. Because the bank appraised it at $667. Remember, she paid $595, and with a 10% down payment, she owed $535. We refinanced $535, but the bank appraised it at $667. She has $130,000 of equity, and her new loan payment's only $27.50 a month. Her net cash flow, money in her pocket after all expenses and the mortgage payment, $2,500 a month. Here's the summary, okay? Her cash reserves are $58,000. She went from driving a truck coast to coast for 12 years and no assets to $58,000 in the bank, owning a 17-unit apartment complex, putting $30,000 a year in her pocket, and $130,000 later. I told you about my favorite word. It's coming up. She gets money now. How much? $58,000. She gets money monthly, how much? $30,000. And she's got money later, how much? $130,000 if she sells it today. What's it going to be worth a few years from now? Right? That's what I call the trifecta. All right? Susan, see why she quit her job and went commercial with me? Do you want me to teach you how to do this? So say trifecta with me. Trifecta. That's right. God, that sounds good. I mean, I like it when I say it. I like it better when you say it. That's awesome. But professor, we don't want to manage tenants, toilets, and turnover. What are we going to do with this property? Property management. Right. Can you say power team? How important is a power team? It's important. Guess what a professional property management is? It's a professional power team. A professional property manager is basically an investor who has a power team. They just don't own anything. They're managing your asset for you. Do they have all the contracts you need? They know how to do all the background checks, check credit, background, criminal checks, all that. They know how to do that, right? Do you got to worry about it? No. They sign the leases, they extend the leases, they handle the evictions if people don't pay. What if something breaks? They fix it. I mean, they ultimately charge you, but we're used to writing checks. That's what we do when we're investors. Comes out of the operating account. It's okay. It's all figured in there. Okay? They know how to advertise it when there's a vacancy. They have lawyers on retainer if they ever need to. What if there's a slip and fall? To make sure there's properties insured, they have attorneys to represent you, they take care of you. But there's more to that. I'll make sure we get there. Can I tease you? Do I have your permission? Tease you just a little bit. Are you sure? I really like this part. Anybody in here ticklish? All right, I'm not going there. All right, so Greystone condominiums. I don't know if you can see that really well. Those are just some cinder blocks with a little sign on it, but it looks good. Okay? I told you I did some condo conversions. I did a lot of them. Greystone apartments I acquired, how many units is it? Is it 100 units? Is it 200 units? Is it big? Is it small? Small. Is this doable for you? Absolutely it is. Okay? These were 2-bed, all 12 were identical. 2-bed, 2-bath units, about 900 square feet. At $35,000 a door, acquired it for $420,000. The rent income was $800 a month, which I could have easily moved to $950. So the income as it was about $115,000 a year gross income before expenses. But I'm just showing you the big number, okay? I took this property and converted it to 12 condominiums. I renovated each unit at about $9,000 a door. Not all at once. Take a 12-unit complex, there's a vacancy here and there. You take the vacant unit and you renovate that one. You just don't rent it again. You sell it. So I'm generating income from the rents while I'm renovating the vacants and selling as I go. And eventually all the units, the renters are gone, they're all renovated and they're all sold. So it cost me about $5,000 a door in finance costs, about $5,000 a door in sales costs. My total expense per door was about $54,000. Anybody follow the math there? Guess what I sold them for? $118,000 a door. Is that reasonable? Yeah. The market has come back at $118,000 a door. My cost was $54,000 a door. My profit was $64,000 per door. Did you see that number? Let me summarize this for you. Doing a condo conversion, is this what we call passive cash flow? Not really. Not really. It's a little active. However, I could have kept it. I bought it at a good price. It was making $115,000, which was 69 NOI. Not bad. Nice complex. However, in 14 months, I put $768,000 in my pocket. Was that passive? What do you think I did with $768,000? Bought some passive income properties. I used that money to go buy other properties with that generates the kind of income and the passive lifestyle. We saw what it did for Susan, right? She went from driving a truck to quitting her job to putting $30,000 a year in her pocket, $58,000 in her bank account, owning a property, and she's already out looking for another property to buy. Once she does that one more time, she'll be putting 60 to 70 grand a month in her pocket. She'll have great income, great assets. Can she walk into any bank and get a loan? Yeah, with that kind of income? Does her credit matter? No. That income comes no matter what. It doesn't matter if she's employed or not. And if she works because she wants to, because she enjoys what she's doing. So I've worked with people who just said, I just want to know enough to go buy an apartment complex, generate some passive income that I'm just going to put away and use that money to pay for my kids' college someday. That's okay. Do you have to grow this into some massive thing where you own 50, 60, 70 complexes? Absolutely not. This can be as big or as small as you like it to be. It's my job to make it simple for you to scale it to the size that you want it to be. Sound good? Yes. All right. So, does $768,000 change your life? Yes. How many fix and flips do you think it would take to do that? How many fix and flips in 14 months would it take to do that? Now, Zack has amassed a machine, and Zack can do that. You've heard him. He makes $1 million every couple of months doing that. However, he has a crew, and he's amassed that business over years. But if you guys want a fast path to the cash flow and these kind of numbers, it's multifamily. Make sense? Yeah. All right. Who wants to learn how to do that? All right. I thought you might. You want me to show you how? Yeah. The real question, when do you want to learn it? Are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. I thought you were. All right. It's taken me 15 years to develop my formulas. So even if we start today, it'll take you about 15 years to get there. No? Want to go the fast lane? Want to get some education? You want to learn how to do it? Say, teach me, Professor Cashflow. Nice. God, I like hearing that. That's awesome. All right. Just for you, I have created my passive cash flow formula, right? It's time to make some money in real estate. If you can follow a simple formula, you can make huge profits and be successful with my passive cash flow formula system. Okay? Here's how you can get started right now. Because you don't want to wait, right? No. You sure? We don't want to check you out in 15 years, see where you're at? Let's do. Okay. You're gonna take a shortcut? You don't want to make all my mistakes? You don't want to take all the arrows in my butt like I did all over these years? I don't blame you. I don't either. Let's just boil it all down to the nitty-gritty good stuff, right? That's what I've done. Okay, here we go. My passive cash flow formula system is going to give you resource materials, my lab notes, and 6 study guides, okay? Study guide number 1 is a commercial property cash flow 101. Going to give you all the basics, all those terms, the NOIs, the GSAs, the GRIs, the CCIMs, all that stuff that people throw out there. You hear all this fancy terminology. Is terminology important? Yeah. It's all designed for the people in the commercial world to confuse everybody else so they don't want to get in because they don't think they understand it. It's my job to let you know it's not that hard. It's not. It's simple. They have their own language to confuse you and to limit their competition. But shh, you guys are going to know it. So now their competition becomes you, not the rest of the crowd, okay? So you're going to get to know the language, and it's amazing when you just learn a couple of key phrases how all of a sudden people listen to you differently. Is that true? In a lot of things, isn't it? Yeah. So commercial property cash flow 101, I'm going to teach you the basics. All the stuff you need to know to sound like you know what you're doing. Takes a little more than that to get there, but you know what I'm talking about. Because commercial property really is a business, you're not just buying a property, you're buying a business. Do you understand that? Whether it's an office building, a hospital, a nursing home, an apartment complex, they all have one thing in common. They're all really a business that operate out of a real estate building. How would you like to own the building and the business? Now, some of this commercial stuff, you own a little strip center, and you got a pawn shop in there, and a Boost store, and a mobile, and a dry cleaner. You don't own those businesses. You own the building that they lease space from you to operate their business out of. Well, when you own a multifamily property, you own the business too. And oh my goodness, I forgot to tell you, the tax advantages alone. You know all that income I was throwing up there? Most of that gets written off through depreciation and other expenses that are personal expenses to you. You can now write off your cell phone, your car, all your computers, travel. All that stuff comes off the bottom line. Now you got cash flow in your pocket. but the IRS is taxing you on a little bitty tiny that's left over at the bottom. Anybody got a problem with that? No. I didn't think you would. We're going to teach you that in the new business startup. I want to make sure that I don't step off the stage and break my neck before I get a chance to teach you all this. No, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, somebody got tackled. Anyway, I want to make sure that you're comfortable with some of the business basics, because you're going to be dealing with some people, and I want to make sure you're comfortable with it. Is that fair, that I'm not just going to throw you into some commercial enterprise and not teach you some business basics? And a lot of you may know this, and a lot of you may not, but it's okay. Whatever level you're at, it's all just some good help, some good refresher stuff. Number 3, finding cash flow commercial properties. Got to know how to find them, right? Where to find them, how to get them, all that stuff. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then the acquisition and due diligence. Once you find them, how do you go about making an offer? How do you negotiate that deal, right? What kind of due diligence do we do on a nursing home or a mini storage or an apartment complex? What kind of questions do we ask? What's different about that than single family homes? It's a little different, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Number 5, funding a commercial property. Ugh, you already know that the financing's a little different. I'm going to show you how to do that too. Simple, when you have the right tools and systems. You guys want the right tools and systems and formulas to do all this? Yeah. All right, I thought you would. I'll put all that together for you. Commercial property management. I don't think you're going to manage it, but to be a good, successful owner, do you need to know how to manage the managers? Yeah, we're going to show you what commercial property management's all about and how to manage them, okay? How about a bonus? I'm going to show you how to fund commercial properties with your 401k or IRA. Are you getting the kind of returns that you really are proud of in your retirement account right now? No. Instead of paying interest to a bank, wouldn't it be great to pay that interest to your retirement account instead? Yeah. And all that money is tax deferred? So why pay money to a bank when you can pay it to yourself? In fact, charge yourself a little extra. Let it go into that retirement account and grow tax-free till you're ready to start pulling it out. How's that sound? How's that sound? And if you don't have a retirement account, I'll show you how to build one. How's that? All right. The quick start guide. If you're like me, you don't want to get a box of stuff and have to go through everything before you figure out where to start. The quick start guide is basically going to say, read this book, chapters 2, 3, and 4 over here, watch this video and this webinar, and then go out and start making offers. Is that what you want? That's kind of what the quick start guide does, is it just gives you a jump start path so that you feel like you're out there doing something before having to learn everything from cover to cover. You like that? Yeah, it's kind of fun. How about a legal and marketing library? All the contracts you need, resource documents, scripts, letters, signs, Craigslist ads, all that kind of stuff that you need so that you can really make the business work and know what documents to use when it's time to use them. Who in here thought they found a deal this weekend, but then when it came time to making an offer, didn't even really know what kind of document to put it on? Yeah, it happens. If you had a resource like this and how all those things are available to you, it's that much easier. Hey, you're just going to fill out the contract, send it to me, let me look at it real quick. I can change up a couple things real fast. If you say, Andrew, I've got a deal I want to make an offer on, I say, great, make an offer. I make it on. A purchase contract. Where do I get one? You've got one in your resource CD. You fill it out, send it to me. It takes me 30 seconds to review it, as opposed to me having to write it for you. How do you learn better? Doing it yourself? Yes. Yeah. You don't want me to do it for you, but I have no problem looking at what you've done, make a couple corrections or suggestions, getting it back to you, boom, done, off, out. Offer submitted. You like that? Yes. All right. My deal evaluator cheat sheet. How do you know if it's a good deal? You don't until you put all the numbers in here and it tells you if it's a go or no-go analysis. How about that? Put in your price, put in the income, the expenses, some of the costs associated with it, vacancy factors and some of those things, and it's going to tell you if it's worthy of analyzing further or not. Simple. Say it with me. Simple. We're going to keep it simple. Okay? Personal success plan jumpstart call. With me or one of my certified mentors, we're going to get on the phone with you, listen to your exact scenario and help you put a plan together, just like Susan. What's your goal, Susan? Let me help you stay on that path. We're going to design that plan for you and help you come up with a definitive plan for you. You like that? Good. Done for you funding package. I don't know how to get a commercial loan, but if it was simply plug and play, let me plug in a few numbers, a few pictures of the property, a couple of comps, all this resume and all this other stuff all built behind and put it all together and go give it to my banker. What do you think he's going to do? Wow! You must be doing a lot of these. No, it's my first one. I'd have never known it. Nobody else gives me a package like this. You're approved. In fact, go get some more. Right? I mean, when you present yourself to the financial industry and to bankers appropriately, they look at you in a whole nother light. I'm going to put this together for you. We'll build a template, put all that information in there, and then whenever you find a property you want to get funding for, we just insert some of the pictures and some of the information, and off it goes. I sat down with a banker once with a package like that. I had 5 copies with me. Walked in, handed a copy to the banker, and I sat down with my briefcase on my lap. He goes, "Let me take a look at this. This is pretty impressive." And I'm sitting there tapping my foot with my briefcase on my lap. He says, "You got some more to go?" I said, "Yeah, I got 4 more packages just like that one. Depending on what you say, I got 4 other banks to go see." He goes, "Slow down there, buddy. Slow down. Put your briefcase down. Let me look at this." That just sound like Zack right there? I'm channeling Zack right there. No, so the banker was like, "Sit down, calm, slow down. Let me look at this. This is impressive." I didn't have to go anywhere else. Funded my loan. And when I was walking out the door, he says, "We've got some community redevelopment dollars available. You happen to be doing any work in this neighborhood and that neighborhood?" I said, "No, but I can be." He says, "We got some money available. I think if you were to find something, I could find some money available for you." What do you think I did? Went and found some more property. Anytime somebody's throwing money at you, what do? Take it. Right? We're already millionaires, aren't we? Yes. And I don't care if the money's coming from bankers or whoever. We have to find a way to get it because it's ours anyway. Yes. All right? Yes.
Excuse me, I have to leave at a 4 o'clock flight. So sorry, but I have the whole stuff here.
That's okay. It was a pleasure having you here. Very much a pleasure having you here.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Yep.
Travel safe. All right. Happy Mother's Day. My cash flow laboratory. Tomato, laboratory. When you actually see it spelled out, it's laboratory. But this is where some of the really cool stuff happens because I'm kind of creative. And if I put a deal together and it takes me 19 days to do it, I'm going to do everything I can to try and whittle that down to 17 days or 15 days or 12 days, maybe 2 days. But I'm always creating, simplifying, restructuring. Is there a better way to do this? Because once I get to a system, I want it to be duplicatable and predictable. I want to be able to do it over and over and over again because that's how I take my system and jump into other markets in other cities and other states. Because when I can do it over and over and over again in my town, it's ready to go do it somewhere else. I can duplicate it. What's that sound like? A franchise. A franchise. But anybody here a Discount Tire? Do they got a system down? Are they a publicly traded franchise company? Family owned, based in Scottsdale, Arizona. They own every single store and they're everywhere. They don't have to franchise. Not that that's a bad model, but they got it down so good they just started opening stores everywhere. And you can do that. With professional property management, it doesn't matter where the property is. Once you know what a good property manager looks like, smells like, right? You get one and they do it for you. It doesn't matter where the property is. Is that as easily said and done with single family? A little harder. It's amazing what the multiplier effect can do for you. Bonuses, that's all in my basic package. In my pro package, you get a deal partnership certificate. What is this? After you attend my 3-day training class, you're eligible to partner with me on deals. How powerful is that? Bring me in on a deal, we'll do it together, I'll make sure it gets done, and we'll own it together. We'll partner up on a deal. But I need you to go through 3 days of my training so that we're on the same page. Fair? It makes sense. You want to go through the training anyway, don't you? Absolutely. So in my pro package, it includes my 3-day boot camp, just like Zack's right here. I've got one too, all on commercial stuff. And once you get that, you get this certificate. I have advanced deal analyzer software. Not only will it analyze the deal for you, we'll drop in pictures, it'll print out presentations, it'll have bar graphs and pie charts for you, because now when you want to raise money through other people's money, OPM, how impressed are they when you're giving them a 7-10 page package with all the information that they need to show what their return on investment will be as your partner. And then you take that same package and go to a bank with it as part of your funding package and get a loan from them. How does that sound? This stuff's got a little more juice than the other one. My 3-day lab training, that is this event. Get 2 tickets, and it's must attend. When you attend that event, you get your certificate to partner with me on deals. But it's just like this, it's 3 days, and we're gonna go through the math and scenarios, definitions, and have fun doing it. Because not only is my information simple to learn, I don't want to say I have more fun than Zack, because that's hard to do, but we have a lot of fun. Fair enough? Because when you get into the commercial world, it's a whole lot of, I'm in it for me. This is why I want to do these things. I'm here to learn and earn and then live a lifestyle. Right? Passive cash flow. If you're working so hard, 50, 60, 80 hours, fingers to the bone, you might be making good money, but what kind of lifestyle do you have? And if you quit working, do you keep making the money? So that passive cash flow is so important. In the pro package, you also get my resume. Now, some of these commercial lenders and private money lenders want you to have some experience. They're not too keen on lending to people, especially if you're into the bigger stuff. 40, 50, 80, 100 unit complexes. They want you to have a little experience. Don't blame them. If it was your money, you might want somebody asking for some money from you to have a little experience in that area too, wouldn't you? How would you like to leverage my resume? If you went to ask a private money, hard money, or banker for money and had my resume attached, what are your chances of getting told yes? Yeah. But it makes sense though, I can't just let you use my resume without having some extra training to go along with it. Are we agree? We on the same page there? All right. Teach me, Professor Cashflow. Awesome. All right. Access to my private funding resources. I'll share who I get my deals funded with you. In fact, I will even get you a list of 100 private money lenders in your area. And those lenders will fund single family homes and stuff too. By the way, I do single family houses too. They're fun. There's nothing like going in and remodeling a house going, oh, I don't want to sell it now. It's too pretty. I want to live in it. Come on, honey, let's move in. She goes, you do that every time. Will you just sell that thing? I've moved like 30 times in 20 years. She gets so sick of that. So I'll turn you on to my lenders. How's that? All right. And my 6-week live online masterclass, okay? A lot of my training is virtual. A lot of the systems are there. We go live. And if you can't catch it, you don't want to miss it, right? So log in to the portal 24/7 and watch it afterwards. Rewatch it. You might have been on it live, but maybe you had to take a phone call. Somebody knocked on the door. You needed to, you missed a little bit. Just go back in, look at it, replay it, find the spot that you missed, or just watch the whole thing over again. I'm going to make all of those resources available to you, okay? Now, is that enough to help get your business going in the commercial world? Okay. Passive cash flow formula system, the quick start guide, my legal and marketing library, deal evaluator cheat sheet, the done for you funding package. 60 days access in my cash flow lab. Those are live calls we do twice a month where we're getting on talking to you guys, seeing what you're doing, what you're not doing, how are you doing it, what's working, what's not working. We put it all together so we can learn from each other and you can learn from me at the same time. My passive cash flow funding formula deal partnership certification and my advanced deal analyzer software, the 3-day live training, that's going to be huge. We're deciding on what the city's going to be right now. Access to my resume, my funding resources, and access through the online portal to the training classes so you never miss one. Real world value on that's $28,000 plus a couple of priceless items. Don't worry. Today only. And can I let you in on a little secret? I've been doing this a long time. But this is the first time I've ever offered a training like this to a class like you. First time. You are my first. You are special. So, I need you as much as I hope you need me. Okay? So there's a little bribe coming. Are you ready? All right. You can get all of this, everything I showed you. The basic, all of it's $14.97. The basic is one payment of $14.97. The deluxe is a $14.97 payment today, and then 30 days later we just charge your card for the other payment. And the pro, get it all. Go big or go home, right? $14.97 now, and then 2 more payments after that. If you want a discount, $500, just pay cash for pro now and get a little discount. But wait. Because you're so special, because you're my first, and I need you as much as you need me. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Get it all now. There are no other programs, pro only, right? Go pro or go home, right? We don't need any of the other stuff. Drew, give us everything or nothing at all. Okay? This is the only time ever this is going to be offered at this price because you're the first. And honestly, you will never, ever, ever, and I'm not just saying this, see this again. One payment, one time, get it all for $14.97. You ready? Come on, let's go. They're ready for you in the back. Come on, let's get this package going. $14.97 and go pro, go commercial, go passive cash flow with me. Come on. I'll tell you what, you guys, this is the class. You said you all wanted to go commercial. It's where you're headed anyway. It's the last class you'll ever need, period. You'll never need another one. Come on back. $14.97 for everything. Okay, wait a minute. That's not the response I was hoping for. You guys that are back here, I really appreciate that. But everybody else, how would you like it for free? You want it for free? Serious? How about this? It's my I Did a Deal 100% rebate program. Listen, in the next 12 months, when you or I together do a deal and you give me a copy of the check and a video testimony and some photos, I will give you your money back. I will rebate you whatever you paid, the $14.97 today, because I want you to succeed now. I told you I was going to bribe you. There is no risk. Get this course, go pro today, and I'll give you your money back when we do a deal together. How's that? To get any better than that? Listen, if you want it, you don't have $14.97, get back here. They may have a package for you or an option for you for some payments. I don't know. But I just know this is where you're headed anyway. Even if you haven't done a deal, start with commercial. I did. You can do this. Come on back.